All right, today I'm going to break down how I'm masking out some of the parts that I want to animate within Photoshop. So we'll take this Hamza hand image, we are going to mask out the whole hand, and then we'll also mask out the eye as well. So that way we'll have two parts. And then next I'll show you guys how to take these layers that we're isolating out in Photoshop, how to preserve the layers whenever we are exporting from Photoshop into After Effects to start the actual animation part. So whenever you do open up After Effects, you have these layers already masked out and waiting on you. So let's go ahead and get into it. I do want to note that there is multiple ways to mask out or isolate your content here. I'm showing you guys the most efficient way that I commonly use. And yeah, again, this is not a in-depth Photoshopping or After Effects tutorial. This is more of breaking down the workflow to give you guys an idea of how you can implement some of this, the steps into your own workflow. So if you do have questions on masking, there is plenty of tutorials out there. I've heard there's over 12 ways to mask stuff. So yeah, if this particular way doesn't work for you, just know that there is plenty of other ways to do it. So let's get into it. Now, first off, I'll go over here to the object selection tool, and notate the hotkey is W. I use that often. So I recommend starting with the object selection tool as the very first tool that we start with. And this is going to give us a good base of a selection. So what we can do is outline select this whole Hamza ham, and that's going to give us a good guess on the outline here. Now once we set that, you'll see on the outline there's what they call the marching ants, and that's just that outline, little dots that are ticking. So that gives you an idea of what we are isolating out here. So where those marching ants, the outline is what will be isolated. So what I've done here is I've moved to the quick selection tool, and using shift, you are going to grab more of the image, and then by holding alt here, you see how I'm scooting the line in? That's alt right here. I'm making it scoot in. And if it intrudes too much within the hand, that's when I would hold shift and push it back out. So a lot of this is fine tuning. The more you continue to work with the line, it seems like it notices where the line is that you're trying to teach it, and it gets easier to work with as you keep going. It predicts, it seems like, even better on where the line is. So as you can see here, next to your P button on the keyboard, there is some brackets there. So the forward bracket right next to the P, that would make your cursor smaller, which allows you to get more precise. As you can see here, that circle that I'm working with is a lot smaller. It allows me to get in there and get surgical with it, and make those adjustments that are more minute. And then of course, if you want to bring it back up, the other the back bracket is going to make your cursor larger again. By hitting that select and mask button up there, that is going to show me where the outlines are, these the marching ants, where it's all posted up. So we'll double check that again, and as you can see, there's more parts. So we'll hold down alt and get rid of those. Let's check it out again. And it's not as crispy as I would like it. Again, this is for the sake of the tutorial. If this was a piece that I was actually going full force, gonna 2D animate, I would go in there and spend the extra time to fine tune this, make sure the edges are nice and smooth, and get everything perfect. Because the reality of it is this piece that you're working on, you'll probably be animating for years, so as far as adding into your live sets once it's finished. So it is worth taking the time and going there and making sure it's done perfect. So as you can see here, we tried to use the magic wand. I do like the magic wand. It works great when there's solid colors. When you have gradients, when you have shading like this, there's just so many different variations. Even in that little purple outside line right there, there's a few different shades of purple and some pink. So it just really confuses that magic wand. Whereas if it was all the same shade of purple, you would be able to just click that and it would select that whole line of purple perfectly. So the magic wand is very useful, just not really in this scenario right here. So as you can tell, more fine tuning, just using that Shift and Alt button, going through here and cleaning this up as best as I possibly can without spending too much time. I'm holding down the space bar as I'm moving around in the image. I'm grabbing and dragging around and looking. And I'm just doing the outline scan and making sure the outline looks relatively smooth and that we're going to be able to mask it out from this part. We'll get rid of that. And then now we're thinking it's pretty well done. Again, if I was going to use this as my final masking, I would go in there and clean that up quite a bit. But for the sake of this part right here, I think it looks good. I wanted to touch on one other way to mask this out and do a non-destructive layer masking that once you understand the concept of it, I think it's really beneficial, especially like I said, with the non-destructive side of it. So to give you guys an example, in this scenario, let's say we got a loose border here on the mask. So what we could do is hit select and mask, and then I want to draw our attention down here because normally we've been scrolled up as we've been pulling this up, but if we scroll down a little bit, there's an important selection here with the output too. So you can do new layer, which is generally just like a Control J, a copy. It's just it puts this triangle on top of the layers as if it's like a new piece of paper type of thing. And then there's a new document too, which would create a whole new document up here that's just the triangle. And then when we're looking at a layer mask, I think that this is one of the better ways to work with it. So if you go new layer with layer mask and choose that, hit OK. And then with typically with masks, you'll have black and white down here. Now I press B and went to my brush tool over here. And now that I have black turned on, if you'll notice, if I go and trace over the blue, let's just do a better example. Here's with black on. Let's erase some of that. Now let's go back to white and see how I can color that back in. That's what I mean by the non-destructive nature of this workflow. So, it did take me a second to fully understand the concept of the masking and working with this, but it's going to save you a lot of trouble on the back end if you make edits that you would like to take away, but it's too far gone to control and undo. It can just add a lot of unnecessary headache, where this workflow has helped out a lot. So there you go. Made pretty light work of this. Again, it's not absolutely perfect. I can see a little tiny blue on the side, but for the sake of this tutorial, I think this is a great mask. This is going to allow us to animate it. And yeah, I mean, if you need to make edits in After Effects, if you miss a little bit of something, you can always fix that in After Effects or just go back in Photoshop and re-export that back out. Now let's work on importing this into After Effects and retaining your layers to make it easier on yourself. So let's keep moving.